Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Tarchioni. I'm here this morning on a special program with the Dog Connection and also with Barkhouse. We joined forces together because we want to honor a wonderful organization called Dog is My Co-Pilot. For those of you that have not heard of Dog is My Co-Pilot, it is headed by Dr. Peter Rork, who has been for many years flying dogs from one location and cats from one location to another that would have been euthanized. He takes them in his plane, which is a cargo plane, and he has just done a wonderful job. So far to date, he has saved over 16,000 animals and brought them to safety. So what we've done is we've worked with an organization that, let me show you here, worked with an organization that is called Something on My Mind. They did a podcast with Dr. Rork a couple weeks ago, and we asked them for the audio file, and they graciously gave it to us so that we could take that audio file and add some pictures to it to show what Peter has done over the years and to congratulate him for the end of the season right now. So congratulations, Dog is My Co-Pilot, Peter Rork, and a shout out to Kara Pollard too for all the wonderful work that you have done. And thank you so much for saving over 16,000 lives. Now, what we're going to do is show you the video that we did. And like I said, it's a combination of pictures and also some video so that you can watch and listen to the podcast. Okay, we're getting ready to roll now. So here we go, folks. I'm going to remove myself so that you can see.
Human interest story of the week. We are excited to have Dr. Peter Rork, who is a co-founder of Dog is My Co-Pilot. It is a charitable organization that flies dogs and cats to shelters so that they can be adopted where otherwise they would be euthanized.
We are so excited to have you here today. And I should preface this by saying we saw you on CBS Sunday Morning, which is our favorite show. And we always do a human interest story. We want to always end our podcast on a note of positivity and impactful awareness and things that people are doing in society that maybe somebody didn't catch that program, but we really wanted to highlight the things that you do. And thank you so much for, this is an honor to have you here. So without further ado, we'd like to just start, talk about you and who you are, how you started.
Well, sure. First, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your program. I really do. And any way that we can help get the word out to help save these animals that don't have a voice, I'm all in favor. And so when you reached out to chat with us, we were flattered that you would. I mean, we've been kind of toiling in anonymity for the last 8 years. And then a couple of years ago, Connor Knighton from CBS Sunday Morning reached out to us and wanted to do a piece. And just the timing wasn't right on their part. So we finally got it together and we filmed it. And they were in El Paso when I picked up the animals, and then a stop in Salt Lake City and Sun Valley, and then off to Portland, which is one of our typical trips because we provide that long distance transportation from the kill to the non-kill. And the groups in the South can't load 95 or 100 animals in a van and drive them 30 hours to Portland. It just doesn't work. So that's what Dog is My Co-Pilot does. So, and then he called us back about 10 days and said, New York loves it. It's on this weekend. The response has been a tsunami of emails and personal notes to me. And honestly, it's just terrific. The people out there who want to be part of the solution. They've been standing on the sidelines, and this gave them the opportunity to become changed from part of the problem to part of the solution, because not participating is being part of the problem.
Well, that's really cool. And we like to actually think of ourselves as part of the solution. We have a little, what we call him, our hot house dog, our puppy mill rescue, Mr. Pudge Rodriguez.
Yeah, he has a hernia that sticks out from his belly, but they didn't need to operate on it because it's non-life threatening. He has triple joints in his paws, so they cave in when he sits up. And he also has his His paws go on 90-degree angles when he stands, right? And he has alopecia. So
Yeah, he's a Jack Russell pug mix, a jug, but probably the best dog I've ever owned.
oh, by far, and the smartest dogs. He is super smart.
Super smart. But anyway, going back to your flying and flying the dogs, we read that you actually started flying lessons when you were 12.
Yeah, my first flying lesson at age 12. My mother gave me a pilot's watch when I was 13, and I still wear it when I fly. I mean, it's my good luck charm. I've been flying for over 50 years now, and last year I was flattered to receive from the FAA the Master Pilot Award for 50 years of accident-free and flying and without any revocations or breaking the rules, or at least not getting caught.
Yeah.
For that, and so they had to
Scratch that.
Right.
presentation, and so that was good. But I've always been a pilot, and I've just about always had an airplane my entire adult life. So it was I would use it to travel, and then when I was practicing, I had a patient of mine who ran a collaborative working relationship with the Golden Retriever Rescue of the Rockies, which the acronym is GRR. And they were in the Denver area, and she was in Idaho Falls. So she asked me one day if it ever came up, would I fly a couple dogs down for her? And I thought, well, sure, it's a chance to pull my aircraft out of the barn, do something that feels good for the dogs, be part of the solution. And I did that, and we did a couple trips with my wife. My wife was really the dog lover, and she was a horse whisperer, dog whisperer. She whispered to everybody except me. She was always yelling at me. No, just kidding.
Hey, you know what? It sounds familiar.
Just kidding, Meg. And then she suddenly passed away, and I just completely unexpected. And I mean, I was crushed. I was a broken man. And I just retreated in my depression away for months and months. And I was out of contact with everybody. Nobody heard anything from me. I disconnected my telephone, my satellite, I mean, everything. It was just crazy. Anyone who's experienced grief like that, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, but otherwise I wouldn't wish that on anybody. About 3 months into that, a mutual friend of ours called me and said, you know, Peter, Meg would want you to be happy. You need to stop that. So I reached out to a friend of mine, Judy Zimmett, who's an attorney and had a specialty of obtaining 501c3s, doing all the paperwork, and for, you know, some guy like me, it would probably take me 5 years to get everything right. And she had it done in about 8 weeks. So I started flying one animal at a time. I mean, I really had no idea of what I was doing, other than I had the time, I had the resources, and I had the skills. So someone would call and say, I need this dog transported here today. I go, sure, that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't even try to figure out, is the dog being used for breeding? Is it just being sent to Aunt Nessie, whose min pin just died, and they're going to report, you know? And so I could see right away that it was, you could blow through a lot of money very quickly and not make much of a difference. Now, of course, even if you're transporting one dog, for that dog, it's a game changer. But I was just looking in my pilot's logbooks today, and it was 8 years ago today that I met Sharon Lohman, who was desperate, running New Beginnings in Merced, California, in Central Valley. She was working with the local animal control there that was euthanizing 94% of all the dogs that came through the door. And they're not bad people, because they can either adopt them out, foster them out, transport them out, or sadly use, you know, killing the animal as part of their means of animal control. And that's what they were doing. So Sharon and her group were completely desperate. And they would load 20 dogs into crates and drive them 16 hours up to Seattle or Bremerton or to Salt Lake or Denver. And that's really tough on the dog, because you put the dog in the crate, the dog gets out of the crate when you get to the destination. So 16 or 18 hours.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's awful. It's tough. And it's tough on the people, too, who are doing the driving, because they can't stop and, have a nice meal or spend the night at a motel. I mean, they go until they get there. And then they have to turn around and drive back. So I said, Sharon, I'm your guy. And so
Wow.
I think I flew 30 flights for her that fall, emptying the shelters to the receiving partners. Now, Sharon wanted to keep me in her own little secret, but the receiving group worked with other groups. And so they suddenly said, hey, we've got this pilot that, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he flies and he doesn't charge anything. So we started getting all kinds of requests from all over the place, and we really branched out. So for 4 years, I flew the smaller aircraft. It's a Cessna 206. It's called a stationary. I took the 4 seats in the back out, and I could put in 20 crates. If they were, cat crates or Chihuahuas or Min Pins or Chihuahuas or, the small dogs. But I'm a big dog kind of guy. And I was leaving the big dogs behind. And really, the large dogs are the ones that have the greatest difficulty in being adopted out. Because people look at them and they say, well, that dog is too big, or it's aggressive, or whatever. And really, I think just the opposite is true. It's the little dogs that are the ankle biters, the big ones. So 4 years ago, I knew I had to get a larger aircraft. So we looked and everything was out of our price range. And then he calls me, he says, I think I found the airplane. And he said, mechanically, it seems like it's in perfect condition, but it's been flown in and out of unimproved airstrips, hit with gravel, dents all over the place. They're hauling all kinds of equipment. The interior is all trashed and everything. So I went up and looked at it, and I said, this is perfect.
Yeah, I'm hauling dogs.
Kind of fits, right? It needs a home just like the dogs and cats do, right?
Exactly.
You're right. And the dogs don't care what it looks like. They just
as long as it flies, right?
Exactly. So I brought it home, and I started flying it, and things just took off. I went from flying 1,000 animals a year to flying 3,000 animals a year almost overnight. And I think this year we'll fly 5,000 animals.
Yeah, amazing.
It really is amazing. I mean, I'd love to see all these dogs in one room and see what it really looks like. I know what it looks like when I have about 100 of them in the back, and I
can't even imagine.
So, like, what goes on during the flight with all those dogs? You have cats too. I see. You also do cats,
Not
right?
often, though, right? Not as many cats.
About 10% of our passengers are cats, and about 90% dogs.
I love how they're called passengers. So, like, what happens during a flight with the animals? Like
a cacophony of barking,
noises, or do they go to the bathroom, or what do they do? Like, what happens?
Well, when I pick them up at the airport in the morning, we typically load around 4 in the morning and wheels up by 5 because it's nice and cool. But as soon as that engine starts, they start looking around. They're going, okay, what now? And so as soon as I close the door, start the engine, start taxiing out, quiet, completely quiet in there. And then all the climb out. Now, remember that we do that long distance transport. So my average flight is 5 hours.
Wow.
So that will take us, 750 nautical miles, which statute miles is over 800 miles away. And that's as the crow flies. And so if you're driving, I mean, that's like 1,000 miles. So that kind of meets our criteria. And then as I start the descent, they start waking up again. So that's it. And when I was flying 20 dogs at a time, it was easy. I'd put 20 dogs on the plane, go to one location, offload 20 dogs, and go home. Now, when I'm flying 200 dogs, nobody can take 200 dogs. And so it's a matter of making 4 or 5 stops or 4 or 5 groups at the destination, and usually a combination of both. We typically load them in reverse order, so the last airport of the destination are the first dogs in, and then that way it makes it a lot easier to empty air.
Now you're talking accounting like us.
Yeah.
Last in, first out.
Yeah. So I don't make the mistakes that I used to anymore, where I end up in Seattle and I have a dog that's supposed to be left in Portland, and I'm going, oh my gosh, okay, that's fine. Now, usually the receiving groups are very good about that. They say, that's fine. We'll take the animal. It's no big deal. As long as the animal gets out of that kill situation, they're pretty much all on the same team.
That's
So-
right. And I'm laughing because you said I'm not going to drop a dog off in Seattle that's supposed to be in Portland. And I thought, is that like being an orthopedic surgeon and operating on the right knee when you're supposed to be on the left knee?
Well,
No.
now we use
They have attorneys that straighten that.
Yeah, no, and
well, now they use a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Which foot is it?
but I mean,
Yeah.
that's your background. You were an orthopedic surgeon.
I loved what I did. I was very fortunate. I worked hard for the community. They appreciated the work that I did, and I was always flattered every time somebody asked me to be their surgeon.
That's awesome.
Can you name all 206 bones, or is it 210 bones?
Well, where do you want me to start?
How much time do we have?
Do they really say it's 206?
Safeties.
Well, we watch Jeopardy a lot, and I laugh because David knows a lot of biological or anatomy. David knows a lot of anatomy, so he's always like whipping out the bones in our body. I'm like, how do you know that? I've had
Right.
plenty of surgeries on bones, so I'm
Oh,
just
well, speaking for the profession, we appreciate your patronage.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we'll be back
Well,
before too long.
I had to get hit by a car last year to get a couple of the surgeries, but
Yeah, human versus card. It never works out well for the human.
no, I was a bowling pin to a Ford Edge crossing the street last year, so it was
She's exactly the same as before it happened. Trust me.
except for this little tick I have.
Okay,
She won't even remember that we had this
Right.
conversation, but I will,
that's
and the
right.
listeners will.
Yeah, squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just by virtue of, who I am. But you mentioned that you had some dark days and you, at what point I know your friend pulled you out of that. I think that that's a story within itself of just going through that process and having to go through that process and then finding this amazing purpose that you're impacting people's lives because they're the recipients of your you being the humble servant to the dogs.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Honestly, the real heroes are the shelter workers, and they're all volunteers for the most part. I mean, honestly, my involvement with these animals lasts 8 hours, and these people might work with the same dog for 8 months.
Yeah.
But I deliver the dogs, and then they get to the receiving groups, and written into the kind of DNA of our organization is that we only transport from a nonprofit to a nonprofit.
Okay,
Otherwise,
great.
we would be inundated with personal requests.
Yes, exactly.
We only fly from a facility that uses euthanasia as one of their tools to a non-kill facility.
Got it.
Because if a dog is in a non-kill and they want to relocate it, the dog is safe in my book. They don't need our
That's
transport.
right.
Plenty of other dogs that need our help, and that's where we're going to go. And it's and the third thing is that we never charge the senders or the receivers. They have their own problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's I had no idea what nonprofit meant before I started one. It means no profit. I mean, when we first started, I mean, it was costing me a lot of money to get this thing wheels up and keep flying. And we still run in the red. And
Right.
I've dedicated myself emotionally and financially to keep us wheels up. And fortunately, it's less and less every year that I have to contribute as the kind of word gets out. And really, we toiled in anonymity for years and had no idea that anybody was even watching. And then last year, the Petco Foundation gave us a call and said, we like what you're doing. And they gave us a generous grant. And we're really proud of what we were able to achieve. I really couldn't do it by myself. I have Kara Pollard, who's our executive director. I say our because it's like the Kara and Peter show. And we've been working with the same groups over and over and over again now. It's a well-oiled machine.
That's amazing.
I think it's cool that because you're a face of this, right? You're getting all the publicity, maybe as an individual in more respects than others, but the real heroes are the volunteers and everybody. It's camaraderie and teamwork. You can't replace it in any shape or form. That's why team sports are so popular in this country, right? Amongst anything, whatever it may be that you compete in or work together. Paul Revere, for example, he only rode 12 and a half miles, or Israel Bissell rode 369. So those are like little things sometimes people don't realize, and someone else gets all the credit, and you're not doing that. So it's great to hear that you can spread this message out with us and other people so that they understand that it's, again, a team effort, and it comes to all these locations, and maybe that'll, again, allow things to thrive a little bit more as you keep going. Like you said, every year you're getting better. Maybe one day you can be, at a profitable stage or break even, right? That's what you do with a nonprofit, so that, you can keep growing and have success.
Yeah. And the one you mentioned, team sports, and the one thing that I learned from team sports when I was in high school is that you don't have to like everybody on the team. You just have to do your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing we're contributing what we can, when we can, and the best we can. There are still people out there, as you know, that will always take the opportunity to pee in your Wheaties. I mean,
Right.
if it will draw attention to them, I just don't have time for that. Whatever. I mean, I'm just you can say whatever you want or whatever, but I'll pick up the dogs, I'll deliver them safely. And if you don't like my sense of humor or whatever, just take care of the animals, and I'll see you next week.
Well, we love it.
Well, it won't be go flying a cat. My niece got that wrong on phrasing with metaphors. It's like go fly a cat, and I said, I think they meant go fly a kite.
Yeah. Well, anyway, to answer one of your earlier statements, once they're in the crates, I mean, do they relieve themselves? Well, it's I can always tell when something's about to happen, because about 3 hours into the flight, it starts getting a little gassy.
Awesome.
Okay, so like when you're flying, all you can look at each other and go, it wasn't me.
Exactly.
He did it.
Well, I mean, if there isn't a reason to have a dog in the house, that would be it right there. You hear
That's
one
what-
of the powerboats in the background here.
Oh, okay. I was like, is there an alien ship coming for you? Because as you stated before we started, you don't have pants on. So
No, that alien ship is the other thing you're hearing. So,
right.
Yeah, we're on video with him, but we can't see his lower half, just so everybody knows. So let's restate again. This is dogismycopilot, right, .org. And people can go there to find a link to donate, correct?
yeah, it's www.dogcopilot, no hyphen,
Oh, right.
dogcopilot.org. We have a Facebook page, Dog is My Co-Pilot.
All right. So 1.5 million shelters and animals are euthanized every year. You're saving one dog at a time, and we truly commend you. So,
Well, thanks. So there are 4 things that your listeners can do to become part of the solution, and they can go by the local. First, adopt and don't shop. If you have an animal, spay and neuter. That's the answer. And I can't wait for the day to come where Kara says, Peter, there are no more dogs to fly. And I'm going, okay, I'm heading towards the golf course. But they can go by their local shelter and adopt. And if you can't do that, you can certainly donate. I mean, people spend hundreds of dollars every month on their cable or a satellite TV, their cell phone, their Starbucks coffee. I mean, $5, believe me, we can make a nickel scream when we squeeze it. We can really stretch a dollar. Charity begins at home. Donate to your local shelter. Find out what they need financially. They're all in need. And if you have anything left over, we could sure use it at Dog is My Co-Pilot. But I don't want to poach on anybody else's local facility, because I'm here to serve them, and so should you. That's how you can be part of the solution.
awesome. And you know what? I donated to your organization.
She actually hit the button twice, so she donated twice.
Yeah. And I'm just fine with that.
So you got a double dip there from us.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate that.
Best
And
cause ever.
Perfect.
Well, again, thanks for coming on. And this has been a great interview. And again, something that we a lot of times in this podcast when we do human interest stories is that we love it when people or something where there's a situation where that's not the norm and somebody or something is created, like lemons to lemonade. And so it's crafty and creative and fun, and it's just good for the world. It makes it a better place. We really thank you for your time.
It was my pleasure. I'm flattered that you reached out to us, and I want to thank you for helping us get the word out.
Absolutely.
And
Well, we're here to help spread that mission and that message.
Yeah, you guys are my new best friends.
That was such a cool interview. So here's to you, Dr. Rork. If there were more people like you walking the planet, the world would be a much better place.
Again, if you'd like to donate, go to dogismycopilot.org.
Okay, everyone. Hey, wasn't that wonderful? Again, thank you, Peter, for everything you've done, and all the crew over at Dog is My Copilot. And again, if you'd like to donate, you can go to dogcopilot.org. And also, for those of you that don't know, I've been really actively involved with Barkhouse, and what a great cause, folks. If you would like to donate to Barkhouse, you can do that too, because they have a transport logistics program that coordinates with groups like Dog is My Copilot and also other organizations that will get these animals to safe locations. And this is just a wonderful thing. So I want to thank you all very, very much for watching us, and we will see you. I think we got another show coming up later on today. So, okay, bye.